Yo, good evening, everybody. This is another episode of Because I Feel Like a Pod. It's myself and Artie. We're just going to recap the trade deadline. You know what I'm saying? Basically, what we liked, what we didn't like, what should have happened. But, it is what it is. What's going on, Artie?
Man, nothing. Some not too many moves, but some maybe important moves
Right.
and maybe big moves for I would say like in some situations for the future, not
Yeah.
necessarily pertaining to this year. But I mean, let's not start with the big news. Let's start with something that I want to get your opinion on these two.
Okay.
Shaheed to the Saints for a 4th and 6, and then Jacoby Myers to the Jaguars for a 4th and 6.
Um,
Or not Shaheed to the Saints, to the Seahawks, from the
for the
Saints to the Seahawks.
Seahawks.
Yep.
I like it because he fills that role that Tyler Lockett used to fill up there in the Pacific Northwest with the Seahawks. I like that role for him. You know what I'm saying? That gives him a more defined role. That's almost like a perfect fit for him, actually. You know what I'm saying? Um the way Darnold is playing right now. I mean, I love it. You know what I'm saying? He's finally in a space where he can just do his thing. He's got good coaching up there. He's got a defense that is good. He's got a running game that's good with Charbonnet and Kenneth Walker the third. He's got a good line, so he doesn't have to worry about seeing ghosts up there. So we saw what happened on Monday night, man. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yep.
yeah, that was eye opening. He's got Jackson Smith and Najigba up there with him. You know what I'm saying? Um, the tight ends are playing good up there, so it's more space um, for my guy to get out there and just run because he's a speed demon.
Yep.
So you can send him on goals, man. You know what I mean? Send him up the middle, take the top off of the safeties, man, and it's gonna be an issue. I really like that one.
Yeah. So how do you feel with 'cause I like it too, but I also think that this puts them into the next category because obviously they're playing great football. They've got a good defense,
Right.
but I think this puts them into the next category of we don't just have Smith and Jigba, and we don't just have Barner at tight end, or we don't just have a running game. Like you said, now they have a guy that could take the top off. They could
Yes.
interchange him into the slot. The Smith and
Yep.
Jigba can play in the slot. He's a very
Yes.
good route runner.
Interchangeable.
Um, I think this puts them, and if they weren't before, I think this puts them into the elite contender status in the NFC.
Now, I would, I can go with it, but you know how it is. People always almost remember when this happened in 1975, or some shit like that. But you know, you still can't excuse what we saw from Darnold late season in Minnesota last year.
Yeah,
And at that time, that line wasn't hurt. It was just he was seeing things that weren't there. So, um, if people are cautiously optimistic about the
Seahawks.
Seahawks, I don't mind it. If people say no, I also don't mind it because there's a small amount of evidence that would lead to that. So I mean, I think but for the I'll give Sam the benefit of the doubt. He's in a better spot with where he's currently is right now. So I think you can say they're contenders until proven otherwise. Until they get where it actually matters when it's one and
Right.
go. Win or
Yeah,
go home. But
yeah.
right now they're playing good ball, man. You can't take anything away from them.
I agree with that. And then, like I said, Jacoby Myers just played the Jaguars, going to the Jaguars. Brian Thomas dealing with an injury. Travis
Yeah,
Hunter out for the year. They needed a receiver. Obviously, they're in the playoff picture. I wouldn't
right.
call them contenders, but
No.
what do you think that does for the Jaguars?
Um, I think it all boils down to Trevor Lawrence, man. What what version of Trevor Lawrence you're going to get going down the stretch, man. Like, it's really just them, and right as of now, it's really just them and what's the other team? I
in the South, Indianapolis.
Indianapolis, yeah, right, yeah, that's my fault. Yeah, the Colts, man. You know what I mean? And they have a question mark right now with Daniel Jones. So obviously after that game where he turned the ball over 5 times, but it's really just that's what it's really going to boil down to in the South. Who has the most steady quarterback play over the second half of the season is what's going to determine what's going on. I think I just don't. It's a lot of variables in this right now. You know what I'm saying? Because what are they? They're like 4. They're 4-3 or 5-2.
I think 5-3.
5-3. So depending on what their schedule is coming up, we'll see real fast. We'll see real fast what they're made of.
So, I think if I'm not mistaken, I think they still play the Colts twice.
Twice, right? So we'll see. We'll get up and close view of what they are in a couple weeks.
I mean, I like the move. They needed a receiver right now. Obviously, Travis Hunter went down, but as you said, there's first half against the Chargers, Trevor Lawrence, and there's second half against the Chargers, Trevor Lawrence.
Right. Exactly.
And if that second half against the Chargers, Trevor Lawrence shows up with the talent of Brian Thomas, with the talent of Jacoby Myers,
right?
They could go on a run, and like I said, probably if that happens, that's a for sure playoff team. In terms of contending and pushing them over the top, probably not. I don't think that they have enough, but like you said, they have to battle with the Colts, who just picked up Sauce Gardner for 2 firsts and AD Mitchell.
Look, man, and that's a trade that they needed. Actually, the Colts needed secondary help because they were getting beat up in the secondary, and getting Sauce out there, man. That's an upgrade. You know what I'm saying? So there's really, at this point, you can say there's really no excuses unless you count the quarterback as a cautionary excuse why they shouldn't make a deep playoff run. I like that trade. I like that trade for Sauce, getting them out of New York because, I know Aaron Glenn is up there in New York, but at the same time, it's just something just about that, something about that organization is just so toxic. And I don't think it's the coaches. I just think the owner is just like, what I mean? Like, it's just not a good, it's almost like the nasty taste in your throat. It's like, I just don't trust anything that's up there. And I'm glad that he was able to get out of there. I'm glad that Quinnen was able to get out of there. Even if it was going to Dallas, it's a better start than where he was at.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it is what it is on that. So, I like that right now.
I think it's a good move. I mean, we'll see what happens. The Colts, like you said, their defense tends to give up a good amount of points. And whether you have the best offense or the worst offense, there's going to be times where the worst offense in the league might go out there and score 30 points, and your best offense in the league might go out in a week and score 20, like the coaches did last week against Pittsburgh, who gave up 35 the week before the Green Bay. And we're struggling defensively and put a stop to the Colts. Turn them over, 4 or 5 times.
Yep.
I think it's a good move because, like, again, you cannot rely on scoring 30 to 40 points every week. It's just not a realistic thing.
Yeah.
Especially when you get to the playoffs. Yeah, at all. They get to play indoors too. So in terms of if they have to go on the road in the playoffs and play outside, it's going to be harder to get offense going maybe in the snow or in colder temperatures. It's just you need a defense. You need a defense to win. You need a complete team. Yeah. And that's something that solidifies them for a while. I think they got them under contract for the next 3 years.
3 years, yep. Same as Quinnen, because I think they signed Quinnen in the same. No, they did him the year before, and they gave Sauce his this summer.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So they got him maybe till 29. It might be, but
I think yeah, something 2028 or 2029. But
right.
but we can flip to the Cowboys. How is Quinnen Williams and Logan Wilson going to help Duron Bland
Mm. I
not
will.
not fall down before Marvin Harrison even makes his
Oh
move?
my God, yeah, that was embarrassing.
Did you see the reaction of CD Lamb?
Bro, yeah, yeah, and I know all. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to ask. It's almost one of those questions where you got to say, did he lie? You know what I'm saying? Like, we all saw it, and so there's no need for him to feel like CD was dissing him or whatever the case. It is what it is. Like, it's on tape. That will always be on tape. That will be the tape that people always will remind you of. Bland right now, I know he was hurt earlier, in the season, you know what I'm saying, but that's just bad. You know what I'm saying? Right now he's not playing good. No one in that secondary is playing good. So it's not just him. It was just him on the the summer jam screen at that moment. You know what I'm saying? And it was just a bad moment for him. However, back to the actual, trade. I like that trade for Quinnen. I also like that trade for the Cowboys because, obviously, there's going to be back and forth naturally between Eagles fans and Cowboys fans or any other fan base and Cowboys fans. But at least Cowboys fans can take comfort in the fact that Jerry admitted a wrong. And what I mean by that is Micah should have never been traded. Regardless of whatever the talk was or all the behind the scenes bullshit or whatever the case may be, Michael Parsons still should be in a Cowboy. Jerry pretty much without saying it said, "Hey, Cowboys Nation, I fucked up." He's not going to ever come out and say I fucked up, but he at least went out and tried to correct the wrong. Them getting Quinnen wasn't just for this season. Do I think they're going to make any noise? They'll be annoying the rest of the season, but they're not. I don't believe they're going to make any playoff noise or any of that BS. This was good for them long term. You know what I'm saying? And they actually got to stop the run, got a run stopper along with Kenny Clark. Like we talked offline in regards to the ends, that's not going to help. That's not going to stop teams from going from left to right. You just means you don't run up the middle, right? Mm-hmm. Or just say fuck it. You know what I'm saying? We'll take our chances throwing against your cornerbacks because what we saw of them. You know what I'm saying? And it doesn't matter if you blitz. It doesn't matter if you it doesn't matter if you man up. It doesn't matter if you zone. We're going to expose the hell out of your secondary. That's what people are do. And it'll be incumbent upon then their offense to have to score 40 a game in turn to keep at least one keep the offense, keep the defense off the field, or to keep up with the other team. And obviously the last 2 weeks they weren't able to do so. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if it's a combination of Dak just playing bad. I don't know if it's just teams caught up and said, look, this is what we're going to play and we'll take our chances. And on the case, but the whole Dak MVP talk, that's over. I'm not saying that he's a bad quarterback. I don't think anyone's going to, if you give any fan or anybody some truth juice, they'll tell you Dak's not a bad quarterback. He's just, however, it is correct for you to say, what has he done? With all of the numbers, because he can put up numbers, whether it's in garbage time or in regular time or in regular season. It's fair to ask, what has he done? It's year 10, right? He's been to the second round, 3 times? And he's lost every time. You know what I'm saying? And it's pretty much, it's getting late. You know what I mean? It's not getting lighter outside for his career. It's getting darker. So it's coming upon them. How much longer do they have with him? And you could ask, look, man, like he's a 1 year older next year. Could they trade him? You know what I mean?
I think that would fall too on whatever they finish the season, wherever their record is, and their draft positioning, and what they could get out of the draft, maybe,
Right.
and if they could jump up and get a quarterback or stay where they are and get somebody that they might like. Obviously, they drafted him in what, the fourth round, third round.
Third round.
So
Yeah.
sometimes things like that happen. It's not obviously that's obviously how it happened with him and Tony Romo, but 21 for 31, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 14 carries for 79 yards for DeMarcado.
Yeah. You know, and the other thing is, the other trade that they made, Logan Wilson, they got him from
the Bengals,
and another defense that was right next to theirs in defensive rankings. I think they tried what's his name? Sanborn. Sanborn was their Mike before, I believe, or yeah, it might have been their Mike before they realized that he wasn't good enough. And then they went to trade for Logan Wilson. He has a lot of tackles, but it's because he's out on the damn field and it's all the time. You know what I'm saying? So who else is gonna do it if he ain't doing it? You know what I mean? Is he an upgrade from what they currently have? I think it's an even. We'll have to see. I'm not gonna kick him in his back too heavy. You just have to see what impact can he have going forward.
And as we said, I don't think either of these trades. I mean, to an extent, yeah. Obviously, with you add Quentin Williams to your team, he's one of the top defensive tackles in the league.
Yes.
He's going to make any team better.
Yep, he will.
So to an extent, yes, it will help their team this year. I think even just half the season through, they're too far away from playoff spot to make a push, and the rest of their defense is not good. They didn't these two changes they made. Like I said, Quentin Williams will make your defense better, but these two changes they made weren't necessarily things to help with the problems that they have. They can't get a pass rush, which Quentin Williams might be one of the best defensive tackles at that, so that will help. But even then, it's the other quarterbacks know that. The other teams know that. They know they can't stop anybody to the outside. They know, it's if Jacoby Brissett, and he's a very smart quarterback, but if he can get thrown in, I don't know how much time he actually had, but if he can get thrown in at the snap of a finger and go 21 of 31 for 260 and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I mean, there's better teams than the Cardinals.
And the thing is, they gave up picks. You know what I mean? And that's another thing. But like I said, I still like the trade for them. I just don't think it will do anything for them this year, which I think was the intent anyway. For them to have someone to build on, and they have a contract that they have Quentin on until the end of 28. So that's a positive. At least Jerry used some common sense in that. But the overarching thing is should have never gotten to that point because they had a guy right there. You know what I'm saying? He just fumbled in a situation between him and Micah. They just fumbled it. You know what I mean? So
I want to stay right there before we jump to the last trades that I think we'll go over, which are the Eagles ones.
Yeah.
But I want to stay right there. What do you make of Kyler Murray, Jacoby Brissett, Kyler to IR situation? How do you think that's going to be handled in the long term? Obviously, in the short term, he's going to IR.
Kyler's done in Arizona. Kyler kind of put himself in this situation with the help of previously Cliff Kingsbury. I'm not saying Kyler he's not talented. I'm not saying he doesn't have any skill. I just think, from what we see, and he's been in the league, 6 years now, right? No, 5. I think it's his either year 5 or year 6, 1 or 2.
Yeah.
Either way, he's not grasping it. It's almost like a Tua situation, just without the concussions and without all the extra toxic stuff. Like when they have to, you got to go back to the beginning, right? When they have to put a study clause in your contract, right? That's bad. That means you can't handle your business as a grown man. It's not even football, dude. It's just like, that's almost like one of us being on probationary status at a job. And they put us on probationary because we're coming in late. So you only can come in late one more time before you get fired. You know what I mean? Like, that's bad. Because all you have to do, bro, is study. The main hone your craft. See what coverages the other defenses is throwing at you. Look at the alignment. Look at the line alignments. Look how deep or close the safeties are up. Things you have to look at every week. Get with your running backs, your wide receivers, tight ends, your line. If you're not doing the basics, you could take the film home, bro. They have a tablet that they load up all the film on and let you take it home with you. But yet you were worried about being on Call of Duty. And you can't say that the lack of preparation, the lack of attention to detail, you can't say that it doesn't show on TV. It does. And the main thing that tells you that is he's had the same amount of targets that he had with Kyler that he's had now, or Marvin Harrison that had with Kyler that he's had now with
Jacoby Brissett.
Right. However, it looks different.
At halftime when they brought up that he already tied his career high in receptions,
right? It looks,
I was like, this might be over.
It's almost like, it's like when Troy was saying it. If Troy Aikman is saying it, I'm almost looking at Troy Aikman. If he says it on TV, that shit is real. He would know what, because he's a fucking quarterback. Oh, a 3-time Super Bowl winning quarterback. You know what I'm saying? So he knows. It's just, you can look at the difference. It's just like you can see the preparation and the professionalism and how it looks with Jacoby as how it looks with Kyler. You know what I'm saying? It looks like someone just put a mixtape together with Kyler. But it seems like with Jacoby, someone actually sat down and made an album. You know what I mean?
That's a good one.
And it's produced. You got a great producer. It just looks better. You know what I'm saying? It's the what's the word? It's the what is that word? It's how it's been being prepared. It just looks better. You know what I'm saying? And I think that this is the last we saw of Kyler in Arizona, and I think they're going to find a way to either trade him or something else is going. But he's not going to be the starting quarterback for the Arizona Cardinals next year. I think he's going. That's just my opinion.
I think that they're going to try to have a quarterback battle. And I think that's the reason why they're afraid to officially bench him.
Yeah,
I think it's out of, if they do go back to him, it's not an embarrassing thing. It doesn't look like a benching. It looks like he's just injured. He went to IR. But everybody knows what it is.
But yeah, because
everyone knows what it is.
But you got to understand, like you know, back in the day, they didn't coddle. They didn't coddle the quarterbacks. They groomed them, but those were groomable cornerbacks. Kyler he's just not there.
It feels kind of like he's on punishment.
Right. You know what I'm saying?
That's what it feels like.
Yes. And if, like I said, you go back to the main thing, if they had to put that study clause in his contract, And that was 3 years ago. 3 years ago they did that, right?
Yep.
And nothing's changed. The production on the field, whatever he does, it just looks the same. So at this point, you just got to say, look, as an organization, we have to cut our losses. And I mean, it is what it is, man. Like he's had 5 years, and you went to the Super, not the Super Bowl. You went to the playoffs once, but every other year he's just been average to below average, man.
Yeah, and these questions are basically, and this is the anniversary of the questions from last year. I mean, it happens at the same time
Every
season,
right?
season,
Like,
same thing.
It's almost like it's almost like you're in a relationship. You know what I'm saying? And you're the dude. You know what I mean? And your girl keep asking you, Artie, hey, when you gonna get your stuff together? When you gonna get a better? Not saying you gotta get a better paying job, but when you gonna do this? When you gonna do this? And every year she keeps asking you the same thing because she wants to see you do better. She's not saying it because she wants your money. She's saying it because she wants you to see you do better. And you just keep saying, yeah, I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. I'm gonna do better. Right? Every year you keep showing up with the same shit. Eventually she's gonna get tired. Right? And then when she sees, okay, there's no future here, she's gonna find another new Artie. And that's what they're doing with Kyler. They're not, but it's a soft breakup. That's what it is.
Yeah.
It's a soft breakup, man.
Yeah, I agree totally with that. And like I said, we'll just move on to the Eagles. Jair Alexander, corner help, corner depth. Yep. Jalen Phillips.
Yep.
As an Eagles fan, where are you at with it?
With Jair, obviously, we saw him when he was in Green Bay. He's not. I don't think he's the same Jair. Could have been some injuries, or whatever the case may be. Then we saw him go to Baltimore. He was hurt. He was hurt last year, and then he started this year hurt. And then they changed defensive schemes in Baltimore, and he got healthy. From what I'm reading, from what I was reading and watching down here, because I'm in the DMV area. There just wasn't a space for him. You know what I mean? But I think any help the Eagles can get in their secondary is welcome. I'm not asking for Jair to be a savior. I'm not asking him to jump in there and start right away. But seeing what we, as an Eagles fan, what the secondary was, the cornerback room was outside of Quinyon, they needed help, and that's being very cordial and professional in talking about Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. Those guys just weren't performing at a good level, at a level that you would say this is a starting cornerback in the NFL. You know what I mean? Just too many attention to detail issues. The lack of not even just even covering. It was just basic things like tackling, how they were tackling. A guy catching the ball in front of you, you haven't touched him, and there was no other defender around him to touch him. And the guy falls, and you just look at him, and the guy gets up and takes off because you didn't touch him. Just, attention to detail things. That's what more annoyed me about Adoree and Keely than anything else. You know what I'm saying? Because you know how I am. It's more about attention to detail. I'm not gonna nitpick you on everything that you do out there, because I understand as an athlete, fucking things happen. I get that. Mistakes happen. You're not gonna be perfect every snap. It's just not gonna happen. But the things that you can do that are the basics, you need to do those. Like touching the guy when he's down. You know what I mean? To make sure he's down. Don't just drop your shoulder into a guy when you need to wrap up. then the guy runs right through you because you did not wrap up properly. Tackling, basic things they taught you in Pee Wee football. And so he's there. Michael Carter II. He came from the Jets. He was slotted to be a slot corner. He has other things he could do. He even played a little bit of safety there. I'm interested to see what he can do. Along with Jacorian Bennett, they got them from. Well, this was earlier in the season. They got him from Vegas. So I'm interested to see how all this plan plays out with the secondary. Now with Jalen Phillips, I like it. I love it. He was only with Vic Fangio in Miami for a year. However, Vic vouches for him. Vic loves him. I watched a little bit of the highlights from Jalen Phillips, and I actually saw a couple of games with them playing with the Dolphins as well. Man, I love it. I love that. I love him, man. His energy. He could stop the run. That's one thing that they actually needed: a defensive end that could stop the run, and then also a defensive end that could rush the passer. You know what I'm saying? Because right now, that's where the Eagles defense is really lacking at that point. Azeez Ojulari, he's out. He's on IR for a couple of weeks. Jalix Hunt, he's still learning, even though they let go of what's my name? They let go of Milton Williams and let go of Sweaty, who's currently right now out in Arizona. And I think they couldn't have paid him. Obviously, they couldn't pay either him or Milton Williams. But it's just the fact that they needed another pass rusher, man, because quarterbacks were having too long against our secondary to be able to dice people up. You know what I'm saying? They got through the first couple. They got through the first part of the season. Got the 6-2, obviously, but they still. It doesn't mean that they didn't need the help on that line. And Jalen Phillips is going to do that. He's on an expiring contract, so I don't know. Knowing Howie, he's probably going to try to wrap him up in the offseason if he, does what he's supposed to do, what he's expected to do. I don't see them giving him an extension during the regular season like they kind of did with Zach Bowen last year. They didn't give him an extension during the season, even though you saw he was a great linebacker. Right. They didn't give him that extension to the offseason. I think a lot of it because you just a brand new guy. He's just come in. You don't want to alienate the locker room, you know what I mean, and giving a new guy coming into the fold a brand new quarterback, another contract right off the bat. You don't want to do that. So I really love that trade for the Eagles, man.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the Jalen Phillips trade is the bigger trade. His intensity, his energy. I think every time I see him play, he's always making a big play at the right time. And it seems, as you said, there's a lot of defensive ends that are overly aggressive to get to the passer. There's a lot of defensive ends that hold off to try to stop the run or to bat balls down. Mm-hmm. He just seems athletic enough and has the IQ to do both.
Yep.
And I just think that for that, it's great for you guys because you guys were having trouble with both of those things.
Yep.
Even if they want him to just do one of those things and just focus on one of those things, I think it's great. And with Jair Alexander, who I'm a huge fan of, but obviously he's not the same. And for even Quinyon Mitchell, who is playing great, and your other secondary guys you got there that maybe you're not too high on. But I think that the added pass rush is going to help the secondary out as well. Yeah, obviously, that's how it trades off. So I think the Eagles, they made two moves that were very necessary. And if they both work out to the highest ability of what they could work out, that defense could look very different, very fast, and good for them.
And they got a couple guys that's coming back. Nolan Smith is coming back after. He'll be back Monday night. They got BG, like old man BG coming back. So they got reinforcements coming. But this is the second half of the season now, man. Like this is where you put your best foot forward. Start building momentum. You don't want to peak too early going into the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? You want to make sure this is where you fine tune, stack some wins. Right now, their schedule the next couple of weeks it's tough, but this is iron sharpens iron, man. This is where you learn what you're made of, and again, being a Super Bowl champion and all that, you're going to get every team's best effort, no matter if they're 1-7, 6-2, or 5-3. They're going to come to knock your head off, and you have to be ready to play. And
yeah, I would say the only thing that surprised me with these moves with Alexander, maybe even Sauce Gardner to an extent, even though he's younger, longer contract, is Asante Samuel just got cleared to play, and he's meeting with a few teams: the Steelers, the Packers, 49ers, Vikings, Bears, Panthers. I thought, obviously those kind of guys that join teams midseason, they want to join a contender, they want to be on a great team. So I thought, when the Eagles made that trade for Jair, I thought, man, Asante might be coming back soon, but he's also coming off of a back injury, so you never know.
Fusion, man.
Yeah, so he's coming off of a very serious injury.
That's tricky, dude. Yeah, you could take a helmet to the back. You know what I'm saying? Not knock on wood, it doesn't happen. But look, dude, one wrong move, dude, and you're fucking paralyzed for life. You don't want it to happen, but it's just reality. The neck and the back ain't nothing to play with.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that he can get back to what he was doing last year with the Chargers.
Yeah,
and hopefully on a good team for him. I'm hoping the Packers. I would really like that, but I also think, again, like, the health part is serious, and I know he was cleared, but I would hope that the team that he does go to can work him in and doesn't need him right away every snap on defense, because, like you said, that could be very dangerous. Speaking of the Packers, how do you feel? Well, I'll go first, actually.
You go ahead. Yeah, you good.
I get weather is a thing. Weather is a thing. There's wind. It is the beginning of November. The weather is going to get worse in Green Bay. In the last 2 weeks, McManus has missed 4 field goals. Something has to let up. It cost them a game on Sunday. It obviously didn't cost them against Pittsburgh. They won that game, but 2 field goals missed, and then they had to go for it on 4th and 8 because they don't trust the kicker, which I would count it basically as 3 field goals missed. I don't know what's going on over there. They lost Tucker Kraft to an ACL injury. Christian Watson plays 1 game and he's gone again. The Matthew Golden is injured now. Josh Jacobs is playing through injury. I don't really think that the Packers offense is much of a threat for the top teams in the NFC. Their defense is very good, but I don't think their offense is much of a threat for the top teams in the NFC. And I think that's kind of to my point of when I was talking about the Seahawks being contenders. I really only see the Seahawks and the Eagles. I don't outside of those 2 teams, I don't see who else can affect that picture and that matchup being the NFC Championship matchup. I don't know who has the offense to stick with the Seahawks, given the Seahawks defense as well, consistently. And I just don't think Green Bay has that. I don't think sometimes their defense is a little off for half of a game too. I don't know, man. I just, as a Packers fan, I don't want to. It's too early to write off the season, and things can happen. But Tucker Kraft was a big part of the offense. Josh Jacobs being hurts, and then, like you said, Jordan Love. He's got a. I think he's obviously got a lot of confidence, but sometimes, as you said, attention to detail. You have to do the things that are there. I mean, you've got on tape now. On the 4th and 8, you're scrambling all over the place, and then you throw it to Mike Jackson, who is the cornerback for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah,
and he drops the ball in the end zone, but he threw another interception on a deep ball too to their safety. I don't see it clicking for the Packers. Every first half seems like, okay, they're not going to play offense in this half. The second half they'll come back, but there was no second half comeback in Green Bay this past weekend, and I don't know. That's why I say, to me, the Seahawks, Eagles, probably meet up there. I mean, the Lions, they're in the picture. Tampa Bay's in the picture, but I don't think anyone has a whole balanced team, and I don't think Green Bay has it either. Obviously, very excited about the Micah trade, but feels like it's going downhill fast.
What? Okay, so my question about the Packers is what? Okay, so this is, I think Jordan Love has had 41 starts, right?
Around there, yeah.
Right. Where do you think? I mean, obviously, there's got to, it's 3 years he's been starting. This is his third year starting, right? What is there any? I don't see what his ceiling is. You know what I'm saying? Because to me, and I'm an outsider. I'm not saying I'm not there, watching him all the time. It just seems like everything he does is mimics
Aaron Rodgers.
Right. I don't see that, and I think I said that before. I don't know, I just think that everything you see from him is just it's Aaron Rodgers. I don't see anything that says Jordan Love.
And I think him coming into the league, he was very similar to Aaron. I think that's another reason why they drafted him. But I think if you go back and watch what he did in college to now, and obviously he sat behind Aaron for 3 years, and now he's been starting. This is his, like you said, 41 starts. I guess my question is, where exactly, like you said, maybe where's the difference from him and Aaron?
Right.
Where exactly is the difference in progression from him as a young quarterback? I think everything has mostly been the same. Everything has been, the Packers like to throw the deep ball a lot, and he's got a great arm. But when they're throwing a Tucker Kraft underneath, it gets them 6 or 7 yards. And it doesn't turn into an incompletion. It doesn't turn into an interception or a throw into double or triple coverage. Where is the progression quarterback-wise? As we've talked about many of times on this podcast, most of the time you don't have to be pretty to win. You don't have to make the offense look pretty. Actually, I'll disagree with that a little bit now, thinking about it. The offense looks pretty when the quarterback is completing throws to his receivers. If they're 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage on a running back screenplay, or if it's 5 yards beyond to a tight end that's just sitting in the middle of his zone, or if it's 15 yards to a wide receiver that's sitting in the middle of his zone. All of those are one completion and keeping the offense going. In Green Bay, I just think it's just so much of let's get this ball deep. Let's show the kind of arm he has. And I just don't think from it, maybe even an accuracy standpoint, there has been any progression in that. And there's been no progression to, like I said, there's one half where it's just like, oh, we're going to go to Tucker Kraft. Oh, wow, this is working. Let's not do that anymore. And when we fall behind, we'll do it again to get back in the game. And it just seems like the game plan is like, on offense specifically, it's just a freestyle every week. Like, we're just going to try something new. It's going to be kind of the same thing, just with a different player. And like I said, I don't think there's been any progression to maybe things that are maybe more complex or even in a way more simple, and just, hey, this play is going to go for 5 or 6 yards. We're going to take it and keep the chains moving. Yep. And I just don't see that consistently in Green Bay. I think it is, and obviously they have a good record these last couple of years without Aaron, but I think it has been since Aaron's left. From a coaching standpoint, hey, I'm going to prove to you I can coach. And we're going to do all these things that all these great offensive mind coaches just dream about and everywhere, whether it's San Francisco or LA or whatever. But the simple things all around the NFL, they work. They work everywhere. I mean, Bryce Young threw for 102 yards on Sunday. And Jordan Love almost threw for 300. Who won the game?
And that's somebody. Okay, yeah. So I was on Twitter Monday, and someone brought up, the same thing with Jalen Hurts. You know what I'm saying? You know, these people have a unhealthy relationship with they have an unhealthy relationship with stats and the meaning in regards to games, and then they correlate and relate that to fantasy football and betting. People, and I don't know, I'm not going to sit there and kick younger generations backs, and I'm not going to do that because that's just ignorant. You know what I mean? But I will tell you that the assignment isn't to throw for fucking 400 yards, dude. It doesn't, at this point, how wins come, it's about winning. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the assignment. That's what keeps people employed. That's what keeps players employed. That's what keeps coaches employed. That's what keeps GMs employed. Either you're going to win or you're not. It doesn't matter if the quarterback throws for 102 yards. Just like you said, Jordan Love threw for 270. Right, I think it was 270, right? 270.
Right around there, yep, right around 270.
Right, and he went home mad. Right, and Matt LaFleur has to answer 30 fucking questions about why his team didn't win. Well, guess who's going home happy? Right,
Bryce Young,
Carolina Panthers, and Dave Canales are going home happy. Quarterback threw for 102 yards, but they won.
They'll take that any day of the week. They'll take that. There's a lot of fans that will tell you that they will not take that, and they would hate to see their team win like that. They are the happiest of fans when their teams win like that.
And they're fucking
every time.
Yeah, exactly. They're fucking hypocrites. Like it's only convenient to when it happens to their team. You know what I'm saying? Be happy they won. You could be the Jets, right? You could be the you know what I'm saying? You could be 3-5-1. Only thing that matters is fucking winning. Yeah. It doesn't matter how they get there. It's just the fucking fact that they won.
I was having fun with the Carolina fans too. It's like, because a lot of the Jalen Hurts stuff stemmed from the Cam Newton and Carolina Panthers fans picked a side. They're picking Cam Newton's side, and it's kind of funny because they're like, "Well, if my quarterback couldn't throw for 200 yards, I'd be upset." They were pretty happy on Sunday, beating the number 1 seed in the NFC when their quarterback threw for 102 yards.
Yeah,
very, very happy about it.
It's the thing, man. Like a win is a win. Doesn't matter at this point. Doesn't matter how you get them, as long as you continue to get them.
Yep.
You know what I mean? On the way, and you just fix things as you go. That's all that matters. But the one trade that I wish would have happened, it should have happened, was getting also Bryce Hall out of
Breece Hall out of New York.
Breece Hall, out of New York. Yeah, man, like. You know what I mean? The guys, you got guys that have been there through just like getting their backs kicked in. The best players, Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, Quinnen, you know what I'm saying? Sauce, the best players, you know what I'm saying? Like they just got their backs kicked in. Being able to get them to a spot where they, because I think there was a deal on the I think the Jets were talking to the Chiefs about it. And the Chiefs or the Jets wanted a third,
and the Chiefs offered a fourth.
Right, and they just were like, "No." I'm like, for Pat, like, that's another thing, man. Like, that's going to be the reason the Chiefs don't get back to where they were supposed to be, because they can't fucking run the ball. I don't care. Like, look, it's Pacheco is a cool story. Like he stomps through a forest and knocks all the trees down, but he's not the answer at running back.
He's Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt has been kind of leading them in rushing. Actually,
right? Yeah, and that's sad. To me, that's sad, to be honest.
I just don't understand, and maybe you could help me from the Chiefs' point of view. Why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? Why don't you just give him a third round pick? Are you going to find a Breece Hall in the third round? Like, He's a dynamic running back. You pair him with Patrick Mahomes. I mean,
and I'm not going to speak on the behalf of other Eagles fans, but I think they've all seen the same things I've seen because they were at least alive or teenagers or grown-ups during the Andy Reid era in Philly, right? It's how he uses his running backs, right? And he just might not have felt that Brees was that valuable. I mean, because there are times where dude, when Big Red was in Philly, man, there were times where, we had, not necessarily the Deuce Staley portion of it, but when we got Brian Westbrook, right, or we got Shady, right, there would be instances or games where those running backs should have gotten a good 20 to 25 carries. And they and he would game plan them out of the game plan, out of the game. Like they would show up with eight carries, 10 carries, 4 or 5 carries. Yes, he would tell them to throw them the ball, but that's not the point. And just how he uses running backs, man, I just don't. That's the one thing. That's the one knock I always had on Red is just how he uses his running backs. They're valuable in the passing game, but he doesn't use them the way they're supposed to be used in the running game. And I think that's probably why they didn't pony up the third for him, because he just is how he uses his running backs.
Yeah, it's kind of like, I mean, they figured. I'm looking here now. Pacheco didn't play, but Edwards-Helaire 2 yards for 5, or two attempts for 5 yards. Kareem Hunt 11 attempts for 49 yards.
Right,
and
he didn't run enough, man.
And Patrick Mahomes completed 44% of his passes, threw an interception, and they lost to the Bills again in the regular season. Do you make anything? I don't really. I think the same story every year. They play each other in the regular season. Bills win, and
no, it's every year, same thing every year. It's not about the regular season for those two teams. It's about postseason. Josh and the folks in Buffalo are going to have to figure out how to get past them, get past Pat. That's just the bottom line. There's like, who cares? I could care less about what Buffalo does or Kansas City does in the regular season, dude. Like, they're judged off of what they do in the postseason. So now, and the Eagles now are in the same. They're in that boat now. Obviously, they won the Super Bowl, but they go through things during the regular season. But you're not judged by what the fuck you do in the regular season anymore, dude. That's just a dress rehearsal for what you're going to do in the playoffs. And that's where you're going to be judged at this point. You know what I mean? Like, Josh has to win, just like Pat had to win, right? Pat had to go past. He had to go through Tom, right? And then he won. Tom left, obviously. Then he won. Jalen had to go through. Well, he didn't really have to go through much in fucking in the NFC. Because he knocked off Stafford and Jaden and all them on the way to the Super Bowl. But this is what you have to go through, man. It just so happens that Pat and Josh are in the same conference. He's going to have to go through them. That's just, you have to beat him. To beat the man, you got to beat the man. And right now, that's just what it is with them two. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. But like I said, I thought that they were going to go after Brees a little more aggressively after not really running the ball on Sunday. But like we sit here and say, that might just be Andy Reid. Like that's just how they're gonna do it with him. I think we should probably end this. I want to end this doing one quick thing.
Mm-hmm.
A team that has a losing record, and if you want to do one per conference, a team that has a losing record that you think can turn it around and get to the playoffs, and then a team right now that has a winning record and is in playoff position that you don't think will be there come playoff time.
Looking in the North, AFC North, the natural selection would be it would be the Ravens. I think the Ravens, I think they're gonna get it. I think they're gonna get it right. You know what I mean? I just need to get healthy. Um, the defense they've been playing the last 2 weeks has been tight. You know what I mean? And they're going to have another bite at the apple against the Steelers, so they'll get another crack at them. Lord knows what the Bengals are right now, man. You know what I mean? Like Cleveland is a shit show, so there's no reason why, to me, that Baltimore isn't going to. There's nothing to me that says Baltimore is not going to change it. You know what I mean? But even still, I think they'll get to the playoffs. But I also at that same time, I think if they get to the playoffs and lose early, I think that's the end of John Harbaugh in Baltimore. That's what I think.
I would agree with that. I would take. I mean, right now Kansas City is at 5-4 in the A spot, and Jacksonville's at 5-3, and the Denver Broncos are leading the division at 7-2. Chargers are above them at 6-3. Kansas City doesn't have the easiest route to a playoff spot either. I think I'll assume they'll make it, but they don't have the easiest spot to a playoff route. Their passing game isn't always looking that great. Their defense isn't always looking that great. Luckily, the team in front of them is the Jacksonville Jaguars. But I will say this too: the Jaguars do hold the tiebreaker over them.
Yep, they do because they beat them. Yeah, they beat them.
So that could be something that pops up there. But yeah, I'd probably, obviously Kansas City's an easy one. But I'd probably go the Ravens in the AFC. In the NFC, nobody. I think this Philly, Tampa, Seattle, Green Bay, Rams, 49ers, Detroit.
And there's going to be, obviously Cowboys fans are, look, man, whatever. But here's the thing. The Cowboys would be a selection if they
had Micah Parsons.
It's so horrible. It would be a selection if they're just so far down, dude. Like
I would pick the Dallas Cowboys if they were a good football team.
Right? Yeah, I would. That's just. It's not even just like hate. It's just the fact that you're 3-5-1, and you're 1-4 in the conference. 1-4 in the conference, and you only have one game against. You have one game against the Eagles, right? You got to play them again. Yes, you probably can beat. You probably can beat Washington. You probably can beat the Giants again, right? You can beat them. Oh, that's Marv. Okay. You could beat Washington, right? But it's just like you still have other games on your schedule that I don't think you can win.
Yeah, I think unless the Packers slip up and give the Bears that spot, I don't think that there's any team in the NFC that'll jump up. Especially, I think the Cowboys are just too far away from it right now. I mean, they got to jump a few teams. The Bears are above them. Carolina's above them. Has
10,
a tiebreaker.
10 teams ahead of you. 10.
Well, I mean, the tiebreaker wouldn't really matter because they tied a game too much. But the Bears beat them. The Panthers beat them. They're both above them. It's over for them. Like I said, the AFC is a little more interesting with Kansas City and Baltimore. You assume they'd make a run, both of them, but Marv's in here, so we'll give him. Anything about Justin Herbert today?
Nah. Nah, I'm just. I know y'all probably already covered it, but like the trade, like the trade. Since we was talking about Dallas, that trade, I don't care how. I'm looking at everybody trying to sell it on how Jerry Jones is making moves and how he's going to have these crazy draft picks. Draft picks don't matter unless you hit on them, number one, right? So like he drafts. The Dallas seems to draft well in their first round when it comes to linemen, but everything else has pretty much been a dud. Like CeeDee Lamb was their last like good first round pick. That wasn't a lineman. Mozzie Smith, we got the Taco Charltons, we got those guys. So it don't matter if you get draft picks if you can't do anything with them. Number one. Number two is what did they get in return from Micah Parsons? You gave that right back.
Yeah.
You gave it right back to get Quentin Williams. Is Quentin Williams a better player than Micah Parsons?
No.
Nope.
So, but now you're going to sell me that pairing Quentin Williams next to the guy you got from Green Bay and giving up a draft pick is the equivalent, and giving up what you gave up to him is the equivalent, or it's going to be better than Micah Parsons. No, it's not. You know what? I hate it, as we all have been guilty of it. I hate it when we try to make ourselves believe it's going to be okay just because we know we're rooting for assholes who are making stupid moves. Like, we've been through it as Sixers fans. Like, they signed Paul George. I hated the Paul George signing because Paul George is 52 years old, but I convince myself. What we do is we convince ourselves that, oh, no, that move makes sense. Dallas fans, stop it. Dallas fans, stop it. That move made absolutely no sense. You basically traded Quentin Williams for Micah Parsons, and you got Kenny in return. And Kenny's 30. Like, Kenny's not young. At least Quentin Williams is 27. Like, Kenny is like 30, 31 years old. So you got a 31-year-old run stopper, and you got Quentin, who is a really, really good player. No disrespect to him, but he's not Micah Parsons. So would you trade if Kenny? Would you say, hey, I'll give you Micah Parsons if I get Kenny and Quentin? I'll send you Kenny and Quentin back. Like, you don't take that trade. Like, and sitting here trying to convince yourself that the Quentin Williams is going to put you over the top is ridiculous and it's asinine. And it really doesn't help you because your team still can't rush the passer. Your team's still horrible against the run.
Now I got a question now. Do you think this will help them next year?
Depends on what they do. Like, it all depends on what you do in the draft. Like, the draft picks, like, everybody's saying, oh, you're trading away for capital. Even with the Jets, like, the Jets traded away, and Quentin Williams is a really good D tackle and one of the best corners in the league, right? Mm-hmm. You trade both those guys away, and you say, oh, I got 4 first-round draft picks. But the Jets have hit. The Jets have literally hit on their draft picks, and they're still in purgatory. Like, you literally hit on Sauce Gardner, you hit on Quentin Williams, you hit on Garrett Wilson, and you're still 1-7 right now.
So the culture there is ass then.
Exactly. And Dallas is trying to convince their fans that, oh, we got Quentin Williams, and it didn't. No, you lost your best player this year. You traded your best player 2 weeks before the season started, and it's been a shit show since the season started. And now you're trying to convince us that, oh, we may have traded Micah, but we got Quentin Williams and Kenny in return. No, that your defense is still giving up 35 points a game.
Well, that was the defense of the Micah trade, that Kenny's going to come in here and we're going to be good at stopping the run. And now they traded for a person that is going to make them good at stopping the run because that's what they need.
Stopping the run again.
And that's what I was telling Marcus earlier. It's not like these football coaches don't know that they can run left and right. They don't have to run it up the middle.
Yeah. So now you got 2 D tackles. I'm just going to run off tackle all game. I'm going to run off tackle. I'm going to make Overshaw and them play. So Dallas did not win. Like, I just watched, and we have a Dallas fan in our community who's going to tell us and sell us the dream that Dallas won, but we all know Dallas didn't win. As far as what the Eagles done, I called for Jalen Phillips last week or whenever we talked. I told you it was going to be the kid from Miami if I wasn't too hyped for Myles Garrett, because getting Myles Garrett, I mean, I would take it. You give up the 3-1s, but in return, you get Myles Garrett, who's 29. You got Phillips, who was the number one player in the country coming out of high school. The kid's 6'6". He's physical against the run. He has a really good club move, and he's a violent. He's violent when he needs to be, and you're getting him for a rental. It's a win-win situation for the Eagles because you gave up a third round. Third round pick is probably a little higher than what he would have gone in normal circumstances, but I'm pretty sure there were other teams that were out there trying to get him too. So you gave up your third, which you have another one. And it's the scenario is this: if he doesn't pan out, you gave up a third.
Yeah.
If he does pan out, you win a Super Bowl.
And you're not. And if he does pan out, you're not finding a Jalen Phillips in the third.
Exactly. If he does pan out, you win a Super Bowl, and you have first dibs on him because you can say, "Look, you've been hurt the last 2 years. You've had success under Vic. Vic is coming back next year, so let's work something out. Let's work a 2-3 year deal out where we can both be happy. And if it doesn't work and he leaves and go gets a bag, you end up getting a third or fourth round pick in next year's draft anyway. So I'm okay with Phillips. I'm okay with Alexander as well. Like, I mean, what's the worst that can happen? If he's truly washed up, like I don't think Jair is washed up. I think just there's a whole lot wrong with Baltimore. And when you leave Green Bay and you go to Baltimore and you think you're going there to play for stability, and you're going there to be part of a franchise that is going to compete, and then you start 1-5, or you start as slow as Baltimore did, and especially losing the way you lost to the Bills, that plays an issue. That plays a part. And I think Jai still got some good football left, but we're going to find out. Like, Slade was supposed to be washed up last year, but it all starts with the pass rush, and I think the most important thing the Eagles did at the trade deadline was get Phillips. So now you have Nolan Smith, you have Phillips, you have Uche, and you want BG back. So I believe the defensive ends playing next to those D tackles is going to be good. I expect nothing but greatness coming off this bye. The next 4 weeks are pretty rough with Green Bay, Detroit, Dallas, and Chicago. I think if they can go 2-2 here, and if they can go 2-2 here and end up 8-4 by the end of November, I think the number one seed is pretty much going to be locked up because you still got 2 against Dallas, you got 1 against Oakland, you got Josh Herbert.
1 against Dallas. They played Dallas opening.
I mean, yeah, you got 2 against Washington. You got 2 against Washington, 1 against Oakland, 1 against the Chargers left, and I think all of those are really, really, really winnable games. So I think the Eagles right now are probably sitting in the best position in the NFC as a whole, and definitely in the NFC East. The Colts made the Colts. So we talked about how Washington panicked and traded away a lot of their assets, and they're not getting anything in return for it, and they're still old. The Colts, I can respect them going to get sauce more than I can respect Washington trading for Debo and a Laramie Tunsil.
I'm gonna tell you something. I like their GM, man, or like Miss Ursay Gordon.
Mm-hmm.
I like her. I don't care what anybody says, dude. Like, and it is not because she's a woman. I mean, that's part of it. But a part of it is also she cares about. You know, notice I was watching one of her interviews, and the thing that struck me the most is when she specifically said, "I am there to see what they need, or what do you need, right? People, what do people need? You see what I'm saying? And everything she said people. What do you need? How can we help you maximize what you have?" And that means the coaches, that means the players, right? And she's there taking notes. She's not being a micromanager. She's not being someone who is overbearing. She is actively trying to help you. That is rare that you see that on camera in any, not in just sports or in football. It's rare that you see that in an organization, especially from someone who doesn't really need anything. That is very, very refreshing to see. It's very refreshing because if people, obviously Howie is one of those folks, but it's refreshing to see, especially her being a woman, highlights it even more. And it's more of what we need to see. You see what I'm saying? People that actually, yes, they are athletes. That is their job, but they're still people first. People matter. You see what I'm saying?
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm impressed. Even though the coach lost this week, I think like even in a loss, like the Steelers aren't a bad team. So the NFL this season is especially this season. Like this season really is been wild. It's been wild. But the coach, I'm not going to write him off. I know people are like, oh, Daniel Jones is Daniel Jones, and he showed he's Daniel Jones last week. But no, the Steelers played a really good game. They took away Jonathan Taylor, and they tell Daniel Jones, you got to beat us. And if not for the Steelers had 4 turnovers that game. The Steelers created 4 turnovers. So I ain't going to say if the Steelers play the Colts again, I think the Colts are going to win because I think the Colts are just that good. I'm a believer in the Colts. The AFC is wide open, like Artie said when I came on. The AFC is wide open. Though I don't think the more I watch Denver, the more I don't like them. The more I watch Denver, the more I don't like them. That offense is just anemic, like, and it's really bad. Like it goes, and then we're going through the same thing in Philly. But I think in Philly, it's Philadelphia has the talent. It's just they're not all on the same page. Denver doesn't have that much talent on offense.
Shit, but that defense, they don't need it. They don't need it.
Their defense is really good.
They don't need it.
Offensively, it just I don't think like I think offensively like it's going to be a problem when you run into Kansas City and if you go to run into Josh Allen or you run into Pat Mahomes in the playoffs and your defense.
They're not the same.
You said what?
They're not the same. They're not. Those two teams really. Here is Kansas City's problem. They're old. They're older,
yeah.
Right?
They are.
And then Buffalo they're going through the same thing. They're just like Josh is young, right? Relatively young, but the rest of them are old. The rest of them are old.
Got Cohen and Kincaid. I think you can't. Denver's gotten really, really lucky. What are they? They're 7-2 right now.
They're 7-2. I think, in my opinion, their weakness is passing the ball, and that's what they do 70% of the time.
Yeah,
just pass the ball.
And it's like I just don't trust Bo Nix. I can't. I will take Daniel Jones over Bo Nix right now. Like that's where I'm at with it. Like I just feel like you struggled to be the Texans team that struggles to score with C.J. Stroud.
Yeah, but they turned around and beat the Eagles team that really doesn't struggle to score.
But the Eagles, they ain't got the act together. I think everything comes together after the bye, just like last year. I think we're gonna be looking at a whole different Eagles team come Monday night. Sorry, Artie. Like y'all gonna be the first ones we play.
I think the same. I'm not too sold on the Packers offense. They've lost, like I said, they lost Tucker Kraft. They lost 2 receivers. It's not looking good.
But I didn't like. I watched that game and I didn't understand. Like I just don't. You know what I hate and like the game. There's certain things in the game. Like again, The Eagles caught a lot of shit. You know how many times they ran the tush push this past weekend and we didn't hear one person complain about it?
No, teams that voted against it.
Yeah, teams that voted against the Bills ran it 6 times on Sunday, right? So look, the problem is these coaches, and what's y'all coach? What's y'all
LaFleur?
LaFleur, McVay, those guys, these geniuses, they get too cute sometimes instead of playing simple football. And they out cute themselves and they I don't need all that motion on 3rd and 1. I don't need 6 receivers moving around. I don't need you changing the form. I don't need you. It just they do stupid shit and then it's either a bad play or you get a penalty. So now it goes from 3rd and 1 to 3rd and 5 when all you had to do, you got one of the top 5 backs in football. Why are we not handing the ball to Jacobs? He's averaging 5.3 yards a game. 5.3 yards a carry. Why aren't we handing the ball to Jacobs?
He's been playing like ass lately. I don't know if he's hurt, like Arby said, but yeah, he hasn't been playing.
He looked good on Sunday.
Well, here's another thing. You got a 3rd and 4. You know that you're going for it on 4th down. You're the coach. What are you doing on 3rd and 4?
I'm handing the ball off.
And then on 4th down, if you get there,
yeah,
probably 4th and short, then you can do whatever you want to do.
Exactly.
I
didn't get that.
They lose 4 yards on 4th down or on 3rd down and still go on 4th and 8.
Yeah, I was going to say that. That reminded me. Nick did that in the Super Bowl against Kansas City the first time. All year long in 3rd and 3s, we're handing the ball off to Miles. You know why? Because the worst thing happens is it's 4th and 3 most times, right?
Right.
So you handing the ball off to Miles because on 3rd and 3 you already know you're going for it on 4th down. So at worst it's going to be 4th and 3, and you have 4 plays. You have your 2-point conversion play there that you practiced this week that you're going to go to on a 4th and short, right? In that game against Kansas City, on 3rd and 3, he rolled Jalen out twice.
Yep.
And LaFleur did that the other day, and it was like, why are you dropping back the pass when you know you're going for it on 4th down? Why are you dropping back the pass? Do you want to catch him off guard? No, Jacobs was actually having a halfway decent game, and especially in the second half, he was moving. He did get hurt. But the backup was still getting, you were dumping it off to the backup. He was getting 3.5, 4 yards a carry. I don't understand these guys' play calling at certain points. Situational football has been off all year from a lot of teams, but Sunday stood out to me. Like, it was a lot of play calls that I was just like, oh, that made absolutely no sense. That made absolutely no sense. But shout out to the Panthers. They played a good game. Like, I wanted Green Bay to win because I didn't want to see an angry Green Bay team on Monday. So I usually root for whoever the Eagles playing. I usually root for the week before they play the Eagles because I don't want them coming in pissed off or angry. So I was kind of upset with LaFleur and the Packers because that was a game that was a very winnable game. But hey. That's the way. Any given Sunday, right? Any given Sunday.
Yep.
The NFL.
What else y'all talked about before I got on? I'll be doing the music, John, on Wednesday, so I just took a break to come out and rap with y'all.
Yeah, but we covered it. We covered it. We talked. Everything you just said was what we covered. Yeah.
This year is a weird football season. Like, it's weird because I don't know if it's been a season where even like the favorites don't really look good. Like, the Eagles are probably the best team in the NFC, but they don't look good. Like, I don't have any faith in the Colts. I mean, not the Colts. I don't have any faith in the Broncos. But are the Broncos the 1 seed right now? or the Colts might be the one.
I think the Colts are still one.
Yeah, but it's just like I don't have faith in the Broncos. I definitely don't trust the Broncos. No faith in the Broncos. I don't like the Jags. Like, I don't like the Chargers. I think Baltimore is like we're Baltimore at 2-5 is probably going to win their division. Baltimore at 2-5 is the best team in the NFC South, AFC North.
I was saying that in the NFC, I think Seattle has done a lot. That's the only team that I don't know if I'm going to say
Seattle is really good.
They'll win the Super Bowl, but I think that I don't see any other NFC championship without Seattle in it, at least. I think that, for me, that's where I hold them. I think that they should be in that game, and I don't see how they don't get there.
I think Seattle's really good. I think the Eagles are the best team. I'm not going to completely. I want to see what the Lions look like I want to see what the Lions look like going into December. But Seattle has definitely. I think Seattle is what everybody thought Tampa was, but Tampa's had injuries. But I think Seattle is everything. Seattle right now is what everybody thought Tampa was going to be. No knock against Tampa, because Tampa's a good team. I just don't think Tampa's elite. I think the Eagles, the Lions, and I think it's the Eagles and Lions and then everyone else right now. But I am this close to saying Eagles, Lions, Seattle. I want to see. Because the West is funny. Because the 49ers are still playing good football to a certain extent. They laid a dud in Texas and Houston a few weeks ago, but like the 49ers are still there, and the Rams, like the Seattle and LA, we get that one more time, so we're gonna see how that works out. But I think Seattle.
I'm gonna just tell you straight up, like as an Eagles fan, and I'm just telling this. I could care less about any of them teams.
I think San Francisco's a huge question mark too, because of what they're going to do with Mac Jones and Brock Purdy.
Yeah, like I'm like the way I look at them now, like being what's the word? Being unbiased, like from the unbiased take, the West is tough. Yes, the West is tough. You know what I'm saying? Like, even as we seen, like Arizona without Kyler and with Brissett, they're not bad with Brissett. You know what I mean? I just think that overall, like, if you look at the West from the North, obviously, yes, Detroit can give you a game, but I don't see any threat currently right now to the Eagles. That's just me. What do y'all think?
I just want to see
I agree, but I'm still gonna stick by the Seahawks a little bit.
Yeah, like I like. Don't get me wrong. I like what the Seahawks have done, especially with McDonald being the second-year coach. You know what I'm saying, turning things around, because Seattle was in a way last year, man. You know what I mean, the year that he got here last year. He turned around and shipped Geno out of there, shipped DK out of there, and people were like, oh my God, he shipped DK out of there, and fucking Jackson Smith and the Jigba came right behind him and started frying folks, dude. You know what I mean? And Kenneth Walker's back to looking like Kenneth Walker. Charbonnet's up there, dude. Like, they have ballers, no doubt. I mean, the defense is good, but what's up with Sam Darnold? That's the final infinity stone. Same thing we would say in the other spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I was going to get to that. Like, I haven't seen enough. Like, you know why I haven't seen enough? Because wasn't it a winner-take-all game with him and the Lions last year in Week 18, and he just went out there and laid a dud?
Yep, 2 weeks in a row. One for the division and then one in the playoffs.
So, like, is as much as saying, like, I love when we get these stories. Like, I love when we get these stories about guys who were written off too early and they come back and they and they prove a lot of people wrong. But I just saw two really bad performances in the two biggest games of his career, and it wasn't even like, oh, we can like say the whole. No, he was really really bad against Detroit, and then came back the next week and was really really bad.
Oh, real quick,
But yeah,
real quick. Nelson in the comments, he couldn't get on, but what's up? What's going on, Nelson? Nelson saying what's up. But yeah, man. We'll go ahead. What you saying?
I said, I don't know. I'm just not Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold isn't it. So I just think I still think it's Philadelphia, Detroit, and then those are the elites. Then you have the Rams right there at 3, and Seattle is right behind the Rams, in my opinion, because I trust Matt Stafford and Devontae Adams a little more than I trust Sam Darnold and Jigba Smith. But both of those teams have really good defenses. I think their defenses are equal. The defenses are equal. I just think the Rams are a little better offensively at quarterback. I think if you look at a quarterback and wide receiver, I would give the edge to the Rams. The running back room, I would give the edge to Seattle. But I think overall, they're both really, really good teams. And I think with the addition, they have that big place right now with Sheehy going to Seattle. He's going to stretch the field, which would give Njigba a little bit more room to where Cooper Kupp disappeared. Like that's wild to me. But
he got hurt, bro.
yeah, but I think he was hurt before he signed there, honestly. But overall, I think the Eagles are the best team. We'll see. We got Green Bay and Detroit back-to-back weeks. Those are going to be two huge weeks. But it's still Packers on Monday. And then the AFC, the Colts are the 1 seed for a reason. I don't believe in the Patriots.
Let me tell you something. Like, and I know it's going to be a controversial thing for me saying that. I like the Patriots more than I like the Bills.
I know.
I'm going to say I think the Patriots are the only team in the NFL that aren't like really bad at anything. I think they're at least decent.
And that's everything. The thing. And guess who they? And the reason why I say I like them better, and I'm gonna tell you why I like them better than I like the Bills. Right? It has a lot to do with what they didn't do at the trade deadline. The Bills didn't get a receiver. And you know why they didn't get a receiver? In my opinion, because they don't want the receiver to outshine Josh Allen, right? You know what they're missing in yes, they're winning games. Yes. They beat the Chiefs in the regular season. Great. Cool. Right? But it doesn't matter because they're not judged by what they do in the regular season. They're judged by what they do in the postseason. Yeah. And they need Keon Coleman is not playing well. And it's not, and I don't think Keon Coleman is not playing well because Keon Coleman sucks. I think it's because of the quarterback. The quarterback, there's something to it. There's something to this. We know what Diggs was. We know what Diggs got out of Minnesota. He went to Buffalo. He went from Buffalo to Texas or to Houston. He's had no issues up there in New England. None. The issue here is the quarterback, in my opinion. He just doesn't know how to necessarily use a very good receiver. He can throw to tight ends. He can throw to Kincaid and Knox. But when it comes to using receivers, ugh. You know what I mean? It doesn't look good. And I just don't understand why they didn't get him a receiver. But I know, in my opinion, I know why. Because he just doesn't do well with receivers that require the ball. What do y'all think?
I'm gonna agree. I'm looking here at some stats, and there's only one. Yeah, okay. I'm just making sure. There's one receiver in the NFL that has more than 50 targets and doesn't have a differential between their targets and receptions of more than 10.
Mm-hmm.
It's Stephon Diggs. He's got 53 targets for 47 receptions.
Yeah.
There's nobody else that is not in double. Everybody else is in double digits. Every other person over 50 targets is in double digits. So I think that just goes to your point. And Drake is in his second year.
Right. You know, Nelson's in the comments saying that the Colts are going to get popped. Nelson, I would tell you that the Bills got popped by the Falcons.
Oh,
So,
yeah, and the Colts play the Falcons this week.
Right, exactly. So I wouldn't, like I said, the Bills are going to be judged by what they do in the postseason.
Yeah, and I wouldn't write them off. They have all the pieces. I mean,
Right.
James Cook, if they use him the right way, that's a very valuable piece, and he's shown to be a very valuable piece. But like I said, I agree. But again, if a second-year quarterback can use this guy, Stephon Diggs, coming off of an injury, people said that he was the problem in Buffalo. He was the diva. He was washed up.
Right.
Then he goes to Houston, gets injured. He comes back. He's got 47 receptions on 53 targets.
Yeah, and you have to ask the question, why? And no issues. Why couldn't that work with Josh Allen? Because he's going, you know what I mean? Like, and then the other thing about it is, you know, they say he loves James Cook. Okay, when you use him like you love him. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to get out there and run all the time. He does it occasionally, but it's not consistent. The reason they lost in the playoffs last year is because they stopped using him in crucial moments where they needed to let Cook run the block, run the rock, man. You know what I'm saying? So yeah,
and then the tush push over and over again. Did it work? They vote against it, and they do it again this year against the same team that they lost to in the playoffs.
It's subjective. Subjective outrage. Only when it applies to them, right? You know what I mean?
But that's what I say. I think I'm with you there. I would not be surprised to see the Patriots come out of the AFC.
I wouldn't be surprised if they look, man. Like if people are being honest and they're not putting their fandom glasses on, yes, you always respect Pat Mahomes, but the rest of them ain't like that. They're not. That doesn't mean that they can't put a run together. I'm not saying that they can't, but do you fear, like, it was years where you feared, well, not me, but some folks do, you know, fear you actually thought about, okay, when we were playing the Chiefs, that I don't think is there anymore, dude. It's not. People don't feel the same. People don't feel that same way about Buffalo. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, okay, what's there? What outside of Pat? What is there? They can have fast receivers, great. Pat has fast receivers, cool. The defense isn't the same. It's not. You know what I'm saying? Like Trent McDuffie you put him outside, and he has to actually guard, you know, defend. I mean, I'm not saying he's not a good corner, but it's not what it was. You know what I'm saying? And those guys are getting older. Kelsey's getting older. They're the fear factor that most teams have that coming into Arrowhead. They don't have that. The Eagles won at Arrowhead. Other teams, you know, Buffalo went in there and rocked them, right? So it's not the same. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point too. That I'm sure the Colts and the Patriots aren't losing any. The Colts are both of those teams look very confident too.
Right, teams that can run the ball, and that's another thing. Teams that can run the ball and get to the quarterback are not going to be afraid of playing the Chiefs. They're not.
And I'll say too, credit to who I think. Well, it's going to be probably one of those two coaches, but Mike Vrabel.
Yeah, Vrabel. He's coaching his ass off this year, man. Like look, Drake Mason, what, year 2? You know what I'm saying? Like you got the receivers playing right, Butte and Diggs, and you got Pop Douglas, man. Shout out to it. You know, his brother. I think it might have been his brother who passed. You know,
I think it was his uncle, but yeah,
his uncle. Yeah, the pass. You know, shout and praise to go out to him and his family. And then the defense, they're playing fucking ball. You know what I mean? And it's you know like and Nelson is in the comments again asking, you know, saying Josh has to stop playing hero. This is the way he wanted it. You know what I mean? Like people don't.
That's his identity.
He asked for this. I'm pretty sure behind the scenes, you know, he says he loved Diggs, but at the end of the day, he asked for this. He asked. This is what he wanted. He wanted just the dual tight ends, in like a Khalil Shakur. This is what he wanted. So now, okay, buddy, you got what you wanted. This is the team you wanted. Go take it to the Super Bowl. If you can't, nobody wants to hear the fucking excuses anymore.
And that's another thing. They're behind New England in the AFC East.
Yes.
They've lost to them already this season. In Buffalo, right?
And that's another thing I wanted to talk about. I mean, we still got a little bit of time. You got a little bit of time?
Go ahead.
Okay, yeah. This thing about quarterbacks in general, they make, you know, and I say they, the national media and the local media, they make these they change the rules for who they choose to change the rules for, right? And how they evaluate these quarterbacks, right? Fans are a part of it too, because they kind of drink the Kool-Aid or whatever the case may be. But there's different standards, right? Dak is in year 10, but people judge him, or people compare him to a quarterback that's in year 5, right? Josh is in year 7. No, I take that back. Josh is in year 7, right? Like I said, Dak is in year 10.
I think it was 2017 or 2000.
Golf, yes, while he's gotten to a Super Bowl, he got there as a Ram. He's in year 10, right? But yet people consistently judge them against guys that have been in the league half the time, but have more accomplishments than them. More success in the playoffs or in the postseason than them. But yet they keep saying they're this great quarterback. Okay, well then what do you have to show for that? That is my question. Because even with Lamar, since 2019, there's only 2 active quarterbacks that have won a Super Bowl. Starting quarterbacks. 3. Take that back. I'm sorry. If anybody else there, I'm sorry. I'll take that back. It's 3. It's Pat, Stafford, Hurts. Right? Who else has won?
Yeah, just Tom. He's out.
Tom is out, right? It's Pat, Stafford, Hurts. Those are your Super Bowl corners. Now, like I said before, Lamar, Josh, Golf, right? Burrow, even though he's hurt. They don't have anything. They don't have any hardware to show for all of these things they keep saying these guys are. These guys, you're judged by your postseason at this point. It's just what it is. Dak can throw for fucking 6,000 yards.
That's it. Oh my God. That's it. They get the hey, his defense is bad. His team is not that great, but look at his stats.
Or the whole thing is like with Dak, and I hate to say I keep going back to it. He's 33-8 against the fucking he's 33-8 against the NFC East. Who fucking cares, dude? Great. You're great in the regular season. what the fuck are you doing in the postseason? Because that's what you're judged by now.
And that's another thing too. It's not that these guys aren't. I mean, even you could say that these guys are great quarterbacks.
They're great quarterbacks, yes.
And it has to do. That shows you some of it has to do with them. I would say, if I were to go down the list, I'd say, okay, Lamar has dropped the ball a few times in the playoffs.
Yeah.
We've seen it.
Yeah.
A couple years ago against the Chiefs, he did not play great at all.
Right.
Last year, Mark Andrews dropped the ball, literally and figuratively.
Right. Yeah, he did.
And,
yes.
And there's times where we've seen Josh Allen has dropped the ball. Joe Burrow has made it to the Super Bowl. Obviously, he lost to Stafford.
Mm-hmm.
And then Dak, yes, it's on every player on the team, but there's things beyond him organizationally. But as I always say, you can't really feel bad for the players that stay.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah.
There was a conversation a couple of weeks ago about, do you feel bad for Myles Garrett after he had 5? No, he chose to be there.
He had opportunity. He had the choice to leave. He chose to stay and take the. Yes, he got to pay. He got a payday, but he asked for that. And it goes back to these guys, man. Like, at some point, dude, you have to shut up and produce. And these fans that are out here, hey, he's better than this. Dude, like, I'm sorry to tell you, but rings matter. Doesn't matter if you have 1, 5. Doesn't matter. Rings matter. If you don't have them and you've been in the league for 10 years, just like Phillip Rivers, great quarterback, 0 rings. Dan Marino, great quarterback, 0 rings. You can throw for break the league's passing record. But if you don't have shit to show for it, what the fucking does it matter? You know what I mean? So,
well, there's that, and then rings matter for who you're talking about.
Right.
If you're talking about Pat against Josh, rings matter. If you're talking about Jalen against Lamar, rings don't matter anymore. So, if you're talking about
they say Dak against Jalen, I'm like, it doesn't fucking matter, bro. Like, bro's been in the league 10 years. He's been to the Super Bowl. He's been to the playoffs 3 times. No, he's 2-5. His record is 2-5 in the postseason. You can't get around that. You just can't. And like I said, it's getting late. You know what I'm saying? It's getting late. Like, that conversation is over. You know what I mean? Dak is a great regular season quarterback.
And again, another example of a guy that chose to stay there.
Right. Twice.
Yeah. So you can't.
Yeah.
I mean, as bad as it is, you can blame Jerry. You can blame the defense. He knew all of that.
Right. And if he felt as though, he could do better, it's just like everyone, like, look, Dallas is probably a great place to live. You know what I mean? I've been there. I've visited. But at the end of the day, man, like, no one can ever take away from Dak what he's accomplished in his career. Third round draft pick, goes to the second round of playoffs his first year as a starter. You know what I mean? Like, dude's a baller. But it's in the regular season. That is a fact. And I'm not saying this just because I'm an Eagles fan or whatever the case may be. He's a baller, dude. Like, you hear me saying out of my mouth, he's a baller. From game 1 to game 17.
That's what I always say. I watch a lot of tennis, and sometimes you can see the momentum swing, and you can see somebody win a point here or there, or somebody, miss the line by that much.
Mm-hmm.
But you see them getting it back together. They're getting closer to hitting that line. And you think, well, you can be optimistic about it. But optimism doesn't put the points on the board.
Right.
Until those points switch, until they win that point, until they win that game, it doesn't matter if it's looking good.
Right.
It doesn't matter if they lose. If they
matter.
lose. You lose. The World Series is a good example too. The Blue Jays just outscored the Dodgers in the World Series by 8 runs. That's the most Since 1962, the only teams to outscore their opponents by 8 runs was the Braves, I think, in '96, and the Blue Jays this year, and they both lost. Those are the only teams to outscore by that much. But it doesn't matter because Game 6, if you win it by 20 and you lose Game 7 by 1, they both count for 1.
Yep.
So that's the big picture. Or you could put it like this: Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Dak Prescott. They're all, and there's others, Lamar Jackson. They're all hypothetical Super Bowl winning quarterbacks.
Yep. They're all ifs.
Yep. They're all Super Bowl winning quarterbacks that haven't won a Super Bowl.
The top 5 ifs. The if quarterbacks, as we start calling them now, the if quarterbacks.
The hypothetical Super Bowl winners.
The hypothetical Super Bowl winners. Yep. Bingo. Yep. But all right, brother. You know what I'm saying? Obviously, we had Marv on here. We had, Nelson in the comments. AO is working right now. This has been a great conversation talking about the post-trade deadline, what we liked and what we didn't like, upgrades, downgrades, whatever the case may be. It was a great conversation, man. We're probably going to look to get back on here. Nelson try to get on anywhere between the 4:25 and the Sunday night football game on Sunday. He'll probably try to get on here and do something. Like I said, it's been a great conversation, man. Thank you everybody that's out there that's been watching us. Please like and subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube page on because I feel like it on YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, on IG as well, and then on the Facebook account. We're there. It's like I said, it's been great, man, rocking with y'all. Artie, appreciate you for hanging in with me tonight.
Shout out Nelson, go Dolphins.
Yep, go Dolphins, and it's all love. Fuck the Cowboys. It's all love though, man. Like y'all three, y'all got with that damn soccer dash hockey fucking record. Just get your draft boards ready. You know what I mean? Start doing those draft pods for y'all, man. You know what I mean? It's all love. But yeah, you one move too late when you should have just kept the guy that was in your house. But all right, man, y'all have a good
hypothetical evening. Playoff team.
Yep, the greatest ifs. All right, man, y'all have a great evening. Y'all take care, and y'all have good night. Stay safe.